Here are some apples for you. Here are. Here's some peppers for you. Want some? Do you want some? I have my test results. I did good. You did well. Each of my friends like hanging out at coffee shops. Each of my friends likes. Oh, there are less people here today. There are fewer people here today. Thought we could go to the beach today. I thought. Here's the thing in English. We'll learn a lot of rules and then we'll learn how to break them. And today we're gonna look at some rules that people still use in formal conversations, but they seem to forget about them in casual conversations when they talk with their friends. Let's do it. There is a laptop on my desk. There are a lot of lights in the studio. You all know this, right? When we have a single object, we say is. If we have multiple objects, we say are. In reality, people say phrases like, there's a few apples on the table. There's a few reasons why I did this. And you know why they say this? Because whenever I talk about why Americans say things the way they say them, is because everybody tries to make things easier for them in life. Even saying there is, here is a lot easier than saying here are, there are. And that's why people say here is, there is, just because it's easier. Is this correct? Nope. Is it common? Oh yeah. There are some apples on the table. Yes? Another rule. We use fewer with things that we can count. Kids, apples, reasons. We use less with things we cannot count. Milk, coffee, water. This is the rule you've probably heard in your English class. The thing is, we hear a lot of people say, there was a lot less people at the grocery store today. Or, I have less problems when I have less free time. In a reality where everybody speaks in a grammatically correct way, we would say, I have fewer problems, right? Because you can count problems. So you should use fewer. You can count people, so you should use fewer. But instead, we say less. Why? I don't know. The next mistake. Good is used as an adjective. So, adjective is something we use to describe nouns. I speak good English. You speak good English. Well is an adverb. We use adverbs to describe verbs. I speak English well. I feel well today. What people do instead? Listen to these examples. Great job. You did good on the test.
You did good.
So they are describing the verb did, not with an adverb, with an adjective, which is grammatically incorrect. You should have said, you did well on your test. I don't feel good lately. This is something you can hear as well.
I don't feel good.
The next rule. Each is always singular and requires a singular verb. Let's look at the example. Each of these sentences is correct. So sometimes when you see that there is a noun in a plural form, sentences, you are tempted to say each of these sentences are correct. But again, if we're speaking about grammar, each has to be followed by a singular verb, no matter how many people or whatever you have in a group that you're describing, how many sentences you have. So sometimes in a casual conversation, you might hear, each of her songs represent her love for her husband instead of represents, right? I'd like to know what each of my subscribers do to improve their English. I should have said, I'd like to know what each of my subscribers does, because we have each. See?
Each of us have our voices.
When we learn tenses in English and when we learn how to ask questions in different tenses, we learn that in present simple we start a question, do you like flowers. Or when we talk about past simple, we start a question with did. Did you go there? In reality, people just drop those. They say, you like this?
You like this?
Or you went there?
You went there, Ryan.
They say, you want some coffee?
You want some coffee?
Instead of, do you want some coffee? This also happens a lot to the verb to be. Instead of saying, are you hungry, which is grammatically correct, people say, you hungry? Again, it just makes your speech faster and easier, and we laugh fast and easy. This is why we do this. Again, guys, super important. Something you have to remember. This is the way native speakers speak sometimes. Doesn't mean that every single native speaker does this. Doesn't mean that you have to do the same when writing an essay or interacting with native speakers. It's just sometimes you hear a song or you hear somebody say something and you're like, he just used is with plural. Is that the way I should do this? You just need to understand that people do this. And this was my main confusion when I started learning English. I was like, I would listen to people and I would hear something completely different from what I learned in the class. And I would be like, is my teacher wrong or what's going on? And later on, I just realized, yes, people intentionally make grammar mistakes and it's fine. I just need to accept it, understand it, maybe use it sometimes if I want to sound more like a native speaker, but I don't have to. There's another rule in the English language that people don't really follow. Well, they do follow it, but not always. It's that every sentence should have a subject unless it's imperative. Let's talk about imperative sentences first. Imperative sentence is when you tell someone to do something. Like this video, subscribe to my channel. I don't have a subject here, but you know that I'm referring to you, right? Or your mom tells you, wash the dishes. You understand that she's talking to you, so we don't need a subject. However, in a regular sentence, you need a subject, right? When you say, I thought you were going to come, you have a subject, I. Or, I like apples, you have a subject, I. Sometimes people drop the subject and you get a sentence like, thought this would help.
I thought it would help.
Grammatically correct version of it sounds, I thought this would help. But people just say, thought this would help. Again, because you understand that that person thought something was going to help. Another example, heard you weren't feeling good, which is also a mistake here. So I wanted to see if you're okay. Ideally, you would say, I heard that you weren't feeling well, something we've learned already. I really hope that this video helps you understand the way we use language, English language, without really always following all the grammar rules. And if you decide that you want to break the rules, as some native speakers do this, and somebody tries to correct you, you can tell them, you know, linguamarina explained in her video that this is something native speakers do. But don't do it in your essay, and don't upset your teacher who taught you grammar, because at school they try to teach us the best version of the language, and I think it's great. Just don't be confused when you hear that sometimes things are different. Thank you so much for watching this video up to the very end, and I'm gonna use an imperative sentence, subscribe to this channel, in order to get more of my content. Bye!